The idea of a Maserati SUV seems less crazy now in 2023 than it did in 2016 when the Levante first came out. I remember back then it seemed like a pretty far reach, but the Levante eventually became the brand's best-selling vehicle. Well, Maserati now hopes to repeat that success with a smaller and more affordable SUV. My name is Omar and this is the new Maserati Grecale. So yeah, everyone out there wants an SUV, but there is a reason why brands like Maserati, Aston Martin, Bentley, and Ferrari offer an SUV in the first place, and that reason is to keep making money. You see, cars like the Quattroporte, the Gran Turismo, and the new MC20 cost a lot of money to make. However, they aren't volume sellers. So in order to keep giving us exciting sports cars and supercars, brands like Maserati make an SUV because they're less costly to produce and everyone wants one. And after having a solid amount of success with the Levante, Maserati wants more. Now, the Grecale here is based on the same platform that underpins the Alfa Romeo Stelvio. It competes in the extremely popular compact luxury SUV segment, and this has its sights set on one particular rival, the Porsche Macan. And in an attempt to dethrone the Macan, the Grecale is coming out the gate pretty strong with a stylish exterior, a very spacious and luxurious interior, and a solid amount of powertrain choices. The base Grecale GT is powered by a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo engine making 296 horsepower. The one I'm driving here is the Modena, which Maserati believes will make up the majority of sales. This is also powered by a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo engine, but over here it makes a total of 325 horsepower and 332 pound-feet of torque. Now those are pretty healthy numbers, but there's more, the Grecale Trofeo. That one gets a version of the 3-liter twin-turbo V6 from the MC20 and makes an outstanding 523 horsepower and will do 60 in 3.6 seconds. So yeah, that's obviously the most exciting one. Later down the line, we'll also get a fully electric Grecale for those that like range anxiety and charging headaches. But let's talk about the Modena that I'm driving here. Even though this has a 4-cylinder engine, it still feels pretty nice and quite powerful. 0 to 60 for the Modena will come in just around 5 seconds. You've got 3 drive modes including Comfort, GT, and Sport. Pop it in Sport mode and hit the gas, and this thing moves. Now, I haven't driven the Trofeo, but I'm pretty sure that one feels like an absolute beast. I have seen videos of the Trofeo and it actually sounds pretty nice. The Modena here isn't that theatrical when it comes to sound, even though this has quad exhaust pipes. Now, once you move up from the base GT trim and go for the Modena, that's where you get adaptive dampers and a limited slip diff. The limited slip diff does help minimize body roll a little bit when you're in GT or Sport mode. Handling wise, this isn't bad, although the steering here doesn't have too much of a heavy feel to it, but it'll do the job for those shopping in this segment. It's definitely not bad when it comes to spirited driving, but I'm pretty sure it's not as exciting to push or throw into corners as the Trofeo. The Modena here still feels respectably quick under hard acceleration, and it does have a 48-volt mild hybrid system to help cut back on that turbo lag. And even though the Trofeo sounds really exciting with 523 horsepower and a 0 to 60 time of 3.6 seconds, it's not like you're going to be able to access that power every day on a daily basis on everyday roads. So the Modena, is a great sweet spot in the Grecale lineup. Now, I've driven the regular Porsche Macan, and I gotta say the Grecale definitely feels a bit more special than that. But I've also driven the Macan GTS, which I absolutely love. So the Trofeo will really have to impress me to consider this over that. That said, when it comes to comfort, the Grecale is actually pretty nice. Whether you're driving in Comfort, GT, or Sport mode, this thing handles bumps and imperfections on the road just as well as the competition. I will say that the Levante feels a bit smoother, but this isn't too bad. Cabin quietness is kept to a minimum, and the overall interior is a pretty comfortable place to be if you're going for a long drive. I definitely want to get behind the wheel of the Grecale Trofeo, but the Modena here is actually quite impressive and offers the perfect balance as a daily driver. You can definitely tell that Maserati really put their time and effort into making this a capable cruising SUV. I'm really glad that they didn't come out the gate talking about how good the Grecale is at off-roading, because I feel like that's what other high-end brands do when they do an SUV. They know that people buying this want something that's a comfortable daily driver, or they want a version that will show off the more sportier side of the brand, and this does both really well. That said, let's talk about the looks of the Grecale because I think it looks really cool and still has that Maserati presence to it. And a lot of that Maserati-ness is noticeable right up front. You have a giant grille with vertical slots and a pretty massive Trident logo. Now, when I first saw pictures of the Grecale, I thought the headlamps were a bit tiny and awkward looking, but in person, they actually look much better. From the side, the Grecale seems just as long as the Levante, but it is actually 6 inches shorter, although it is about 4 to 5 inches longer than the Macan. My test model here is riding on 21-inch wheels, and I do like the look of them quite a bit. Swing around the back, and the Grecale will definitely give you a really strong Levante vibe. This actually looks like what the next iteration or upgrade of the Levante would look like. I definitely like the taillights only for the fact that Maserati didn't do the whole long taillight that spans the whole width of the back that everyone else is doing these days. But yeah, overall, I think this is a pretty solid looking compact luxury SUV. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. I would love to hear your feedback on that. Now let's get to one of my favorite parts about the Grecale, and that's the interior. This has got to be one of the best and most luxurious interiors in this segment. If you're considering getting yourself a Levante, you're doing it wrong. Sit inside a Grecale and check out all the latest upgrades that Maserati has made, and then make your decision because this interior is an awesome place to be. This is where you feel the Italian side of things. Mostly everything in here is wrapped in really nice leather and is really well put together. Everything in here has a really solid feel to it, and you can tell that Maserati definitely paid close attention to making it better than the Levante and kind of making it their own. You have these really comfortable leather seats with the Maserati Trident right in the headrest, which looks really nice. And not only are they comfortable, but they look really nice in this red color. My test model also gets heated and ventilated front seats, as well as a heated steering wheel. Now, all the luxury part is good, but probably the first thing that you'll notice when you get inside the Grecale are the screens. And like it or not, everyone is starting to move away from physical buttons. I'm not going to say that this doesn't have any physical buttons because the steering wheel here has a lot. A total of 16 buttons right here on the steering wheel, not even including the start and stop button and the drive mode selector that you have down here on the right. A total of 16 buttons on the steering wheel. It gets pretty confusing. You really have to pay close attention to it. But yeah, everything else is tucked away in these two screens right here. Let's start with the lower screen first. This is mainly all of your climate functions. Your heated and cooled seats and your heated steering wheel are also right here. You can control a few other things from here, like your ambient lighting, your exterior lighting, and your memory seats. That said, usually I absolutely cannot stand a dual screen setup, but Maserati has made this pretty intuitive. If I take my finger and place it and swipe up or down, I can quickly adjust the temperature for both the driver and the passenger. That is super cool. Now, if I take my finger and slide it from left to right, I can increase and decrease the fan speed. That is actually very easy to use, and I wish more automakers would do that with their screens. As for the screen above this, that's where your infotainment system lives. Now, this system is Android based, and it is a version of Stellantis Uconnect system, which is a good thing because it's a pretty easy system to use, and the performance is actually pretty good. You can go in and add a bunch of different widgets for a quick view, and these buttons right here on the left will also stay there permanently for easy access. And you can also hop into this vehicle section right here and check out the status of your Grecale. You can play around with the performance pages to see how your numbers are adding up, and much more. Of course, you've got all your phone connectivity options in here, including wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. You've also got a native navigation system that no one will use because they'll just end up using Google Maps or Waze. Now, in front of the driver, you also have a digital instrument cluster, and it's pretty sharp with a lot of information packed in here. You also have a few different viewing themes in here as well, along with a full screen map view, which looks pretty nice. That said, there is one more screen in here. Maserati has gotten rid of its traditional clock for a digital one, and it's actually pretty cool. You can go through and pick a few different themes for it, including classic, sport, or design. And if you don't want to see a clock at all, you can change it to a compass. You can see what your pedals are doing, and you can also look at the G-meter. And this will also show the graphic if you're speaking to the voice assistant, so it's a pretty cool replacement for a traditional clock. As for the sound system, you're working with a pretty nice 14-speaker system by Sonos Faber. I hope I said that right. They're apparently known for making high-end $100,000 plus home sound systems, and I gotta say, it sounds really nice. As for the driver assist tech, the Grecale is pretty well packed with everything you can imagine. You've got all the alerts and notifications you can ever think of. You've also got adaptive cruise control with lane keep assist and lane tracing assist, and this will also keep you centered in the lane while you're cruising along. Camera game-wise, you're obviously working with a rear view and a 360 surround view at this price tag. However, the Grecale doesn't do a 3D surround view graphics, which I kind of wish it did. All right, now that we've seen a lot of the Grecale, let's pull over and check out the practicality side of things, because this is an SUV after all. And let's kick it off by checking out the legroom in the second row. Now, I don't have official figures, but Maserati says that the Grecale is the segment leader when it comes to rear legroom. I'm about 6 foot tall, that is my seating position, and as you can see, I have a good amount of room. Honestly, this feels way more spacious to me than the Porsche Macan, the BMW X3, and honestly, it even feels more spacious to me than the Levante itself. Now, with the Grecale Modena that I'm driving here, you get your own climate control settings as well as heated rear seats. But yeah, overall, the rear seats are a very comfortable place to sit. I think 2 people can sit back here on a long drive very easily. 3 people might be a bit tight, but yeah, overall, very comfortable. 2 thumbs up. Now let's check out the cargo capacity you're working with. You can pop open the tailgate by using a button located right here underneath the Maserati logo. And once you get it open, you have a total of 20 cubic feet behind the second row. I couldn't find the measurement for the space that you have with the second row down, but with both rows down, it actually seems pretty spacious. It's not bad. Somebody's kid just lost it in the park. All right, now before we talk about the pricing and whether or not you should buy yourself a Grecale, let me point out a few important daily ownership highlights that I'll have to show all of you. You have a total of 4 cup holders, 2 in the front right there, and then you have 2 right here in the center armrest in the back. Here are the keys to the Grecale. Very nice set of keys right here. Very well made and very hefty. I like the buttons in the front, and you got a Maserati logo in the back. Cool. Door close sound from the outside, and from the inside, solid. Charging game-wise, up front you have a USB-C and A port right there and a wireless charger right there. Those sitting in the back get to fight over a USB-C and A port right there. And of course, let's do an indicator and horn sound test. Indicator first. It's a very loud indicator. Now for the horn sound. Oh yeah, solid. All right, so should you check out the Maserati Grecale if you're in the market for a compact luxury SUV? I'll have to say yes, because this thing is actually pretty impressive. Pricing for the Grecale starts at $65,300 for the base GT model, which honestly I would just skip over because it doesn't sound that exciting for $65,000. The Modena here starts at around $75,000, and this is basically the sweet spot for the Grecale. The Trofeo runs over $105,000, making it more expensive than the Macan GTS, although it does have significantly more power than the GTS, so, you know, balance that out. But yeah, honestly, I think this is a great addition to the Maserati lineup. I always thought that the Levante was nice, but not that nice. It never excited me too much with its plain interior and somewhat of a boring drive. The Grecale is one Maserati that I could see myself driving. Honestly, I would love to see myself driving an MC20, but hey, we can all dream, can't we? Either way, thanks for watching. Make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe, make sure you follow me on Instagram and on TikTok. My handle there is @OmarDrives. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care. Peace. Yeah, I'm just really impressed with what Maserati did here. Usually, high-end luxury SUVs, like take the Aston Martin DBX for example, it's a bag of, you know, parts and tech from Mercedes. This actually feels like its own Maserati vehicle. I know I got the Modena because this is going to be the volume seller, so they want more content for it out there, but I got to get my hands on that Trofeo because that thing sounds super exciting. 563 horsepower? That's nuts.